In this video, I'm going to show you how to discharge a patient from FirstNet. The screen which we're currently viewing is called ED Launch Point, and the tracking board which I have open is the one for Adult Emergency Department. The patient which we're going to discharge is this patient here. To complete the discharge steps, we need to open the patient record. So you can do this either by clicking on the patient's name or by selecting ED View from the right-click menu. Once our patient record is loaded, we need to select the ED Discharge Workflow end page, and then there is mandatory documentation which needs to be completed before the patient can be discharged. These are the 4 listed in the component section, and they all have a red asterisk against them. Let's start with the ED treatment form. We'll click on the component, and then we're going to click on this drop-down arrow here and launch our form. Once our form is launched, we have 2 sections, one to record any investigations, and if I scroll further down, we have another section for recording treatments. So let's start with the investigations. We'll click on yes to this question here, and then as soon as you do that, you'll notice that this box here becomes active and we can start to complete the documentation. So we'll click on full blood count, and I'm going to say the patient had an ultrasound. If we scroll further down, there is a section for recording other investigations. So if the investigations the patient had are not listed in this box, you can record them in the investigations comment here. I'm happy with what I've recorded at the top, so I'm going to continue and record any treatments. So again, similar to the above, if the patient had treatments, we can click on yes. If the patient didn't have any treatments, we'll click on no. Let's use no as an example, and we'll select it now, and then we'll click on none. If I'm happy with what I've recorded, I can go ahead and click on the sign form, tick here, and this will close the window, and you'll notice that you now have a green tick against the ED treatment form component. This indicates that the documentation has been completed. Let's continue now and select the ED Discharge Information Form component. We'll click on this drop-down arrow here and select the ED Discharge Information Form. Once our form is launched, we have 4 mandatory fields which need to be completed. This is the one for discharge status, discharge destination, discharge follow-up, and whether the patient will be provided a copy of their discharge letter. Let's scroll up. I'm going to say the discharge status is treatment complete. Discharge destination, this patient is going home, so I'm going to select usual place of residence. For the discharge follow-up, I'm going to record no referral, and this patient will be provided a copy of their discharge letter, so I'm going to select the first option here. I'm happy with what I've recorded. I'm going to click on the green tick to sign the form. What you'll notice here, if the patient has breached, we need to record the ED breach classification form. So let's click on OK. This will launch the breach classification form, and then you select the appropriate option. I'm going to say it's the delay to be seen. And then if you need to record any additional information, you can record it in the breach classification comments box here. I'm happy with what I've recorded, so I'm going to click on the green tick and sign the form. Next, we need to add a diagnosis. So we'll click on the diagnosis and problems component, and I'm going to record my diagnosis in the add problem field here. So I'm going to say it was a strain of abdominal muscle. You'll notice as soon as you start typing, you have a list of options. These are all from the SNOMED catalogue. So type those, and I'm going to select this diagnosis, and then I'm going to record no chronic problems. So this will record our diagnosis, and again we have a green tick next to the component. The last one to complete is the person completing record. Select the component, click on the drop down and launch the form. Person completing record will automatically be pre-populated with your name. You can go ahead and record your role and grade and professional identifier here. Once you've recorded it, again, we'll click on the green tick and sign the form. This marks completion of all our mandatory documentation. If the GP discharge letter needs to be recorded and it hasn't been yet, we can scroll further down to the Create Notes section. What you'll see here is a list of templates for the emergency departments. It's important that you select the correct template for the patient in terms of which department they were seen in. This patient was seen in adult emergency department, so we need to select the top one here, ED discharge summary, and this is the correct template for adult emergency department. Let's launch it now. We'll launch our GP summary. This will be the details that are provided to the GP. If I'm happy with what's been recorded, I can click on Sign and Submit. I'll have the Sign and Submit note window open and then click on Sign. And this will record our discharge summary. If you want to view what you have recorded, we can scroll up to this Documents component, and then the GP discharge summary will be listed here, along with the mandatory documentation that you completed earlier. So you can sift through and view any documentation you wish to. So the very last step now is to end the visit and select the appropriate component to discharge the patient. This patient is being discharged home, so we need to select the Discharge Transfer Outside Trust component. Let's select it now. And then this will launch our discharge window. So if we scroll down, what you'll notice here is the discharge method, discharge destination, and discharge follow-up have automatically pulled through from the discharge information form. Let's scroll further down. So the discharge information is here. So we've got the date recorded and the time and your user ID. Let me just add my name here for discharging member of staff. Select my name, and then the last step is to click OK. And this has discharged our patient. So the end visit for the discharge transfer outside trust will have a green tick marked against it. And then if you did want to view the patient in the left department section, we can go back onto ED launch point. And then if we click on left department, the patient will be visible here in the left department section.